After completing Elden Ring last year, having the time of my goddamn life, it wasn't long before I noticed something was missing. And not in a way that makes Elden Ring more flawed than other Souls games. No. It was like the game had a missing ingredient in my personal favorite recipe. A missing ingredient that was already perfected before, in a little game called Bloodborne. In a world where a Sony exclusive like The Last of Us is remastered, then remade, and just recently got a beautiful PC port, how have we not had so much as a second glance at PlayStation's most important exclusive, Bloodborne? I don't know if any of you PS4 owners remember, but in 2015, there wasn't much of a reason to buy a PS4 over other platforms. There were very few exclusives, no backwards compatibility, and no incentive to choose to play third-party games here instead of anywhere else. That was soon to change with the release of Bloodborne on March 24th, 2015, finally turning the tide and paving the way for Sony's excellent lineup of exclusives, once again cementing the brand in the gaming market as a force to be reckoned with. With a game as important as this one, you'd think it would have been milked to death, doomed to re-release for an eternity like Skyrim. Yet here we are. Bloodborne just turned 8 years old. There's not even a hint of a revisit, and the game is chained to a 30 FPS lock despite being playable on PS5. It's insane to me that arguably the best Souls game is stuck in purgatory without any guarantee of preservation. This game solely needs preservation. I'd settle for something as little as a 60 FPS patch on PS5. I could live with that. But what I truly wish for this game is to not only be touched up to take advantage of newer hardware, but to be ported to PC so it can be experienced by as many folks as possible, especially after Elden Ring's success. This game doesn't need the Demon's Souls remake treatment. It needs very little input from Sony in order to reach its full potential. When they are willing to waste resources remastering Horizon Zero Dawn, it is criminal that they can't do the bare minimum for the best Sony exclusive in the last decade. If I was to make a ranking on the best exclusives, it'd probably number 1. Spoiler, I guess, if I decide to make that video. Lance McDonald, a notable modder who jailbroke his PS4, gave us all a glimpse of Bloodborne running at 60 FPS with his mod that fixes the issues that come with that, and the results are night and day. This is one guy. There is no excuse why this can't be done officially. Sony have spent much more resources for much less. I know it sounds like I'm being a performance snob obsessing over frames, but trust me, this game barely made it to 30 FPS on PS4. The frame rate was always low at critical moments, which is unacceptable for a game that requires absolute precision, muscle memory based on exact seconds, and instant recovery from a punishing blow. Maybe you don't know what all the fuss is about. Maybe you're watching this wondering why this game is getting all the praise from me and many others with similar mindsets. It doesn't seem that good, and maybe that's a good thought to bring up. Why do I love this game so much, and wish for nothing more than its pro longevity? Why does this game speak to me in a way Elden Ring almost did, but fell just short? Maybe it's the gothic art style that emanates a kind of dark beauty, piercing through a bleak atmosphere so heavy that it will slowly crush you if you let it. Maybe it's the visceral and aggressive combat, taking survival of the fittest to its most extreme point, portraying the storytelling through action, not expository dialogue. Maybe it's the incredibly detailed and memorable bosses, feeling so distinct from one another that you never feel prepared for what's coming, adding so much to the euphoria you feel after overcoming such impossible odds. Maybe it's the pitch-perfect soundtrack that somehow manages to make you feel incredibly powerful and motivated to ascend to greater heights. While at the same time making you feel so insignificant in a universe of creatures so otherworldly that you don't even qualify as a threat, nor do they acknowledge your existence. Maybe it's the indirect story that permeates throughout the world, warning you of the consequences of trying to transcend mortality, and seeing things humans were never supposed to see, achieving answers at the cost of sanity, in true Lovecraftian fashion. Or maybe it's as simple as personal bias, being my first Souls game, before Elden Ring proved Bloodborne wasn't a fluke, and cemented me as a Souls fan going forward. Bias or not, there is more than enough justification for Bloodborne to once again return to the market, and be experienced by the now massive Souls community. A game as incredible as this does not deserve to be trapped on one platform, chained to the limits of old hardware. A game that turned the tide of the PS4 brand should not go unacknowledged by Sony, while lesser games with lesser justifications for remakes dominate the limelight. I know the gaming market is oversaturated with re-releases and remakes these days, that many folks will roll their eyes at the notion, but try to understand that a small number of these games really do need to be revisited to be future-proofed before they are lost to time. Bloodborne is not only one of those games, but probably the best and most important. Thanks for watching.